that we saw last year. Just, last year was just nuts. And the past 2 years been pretty crazy. And it seems like there's been a foregone conclusion that, the Nets and the Lakers is going to be in the NBA Finals. Do you foresee any surprise teams? And I would say the Suns would be a nice, but not even the Bucks, because I think they'd be another favorite besides Lakers and Nets to make it to the finals. Are there any teams you think are primed to make a run to the finals that they're not being talked about in the mainstream media? And Alan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of a surprise it would be, but I am all on the Hawks bandwagon. I think a full season with Nate McMillan as coach. Nate has been coached some absolutely morbid Indiana Pacers teams and consistently got them to the playoffs and competing hard. I think once they get his defensive schemes in place, and I know it's preseason, but Cam has been looking really good. So I think you add in a happy John Collins, you've got Trey's continued evolution. I don't think the new foul calls are going to hurt him like everybody thinks they are. He'll adjust. He's smart. One of the smartest players in the league. He'll adjust. You got Clint. If Clint can stay healthy, I think that team. I think they were on the verge last year. I think they just ran out of gas a little bit, and Budenholzer somehow made some adjustments, which surprised me. And they were able to beat the Hawks, but otherwise, I think the Hawks are my surprise pick. Now, I fully expect the Nets to be there, but if not the Nets, the Hawks would be my surprise pick.
Go ahead, Josh.
Obviously, the Suns. Nobody's.
There we go.
Yeah, please.
I was waiting for this one. Nobody's picking them. Everyone. From everyone saying that they were a fluke. I think I looked it up. They've got the 5th best odds right now to win the championship. Ayton, from what I've been reading, is taking it super personally. Everyone's saying it was a fluke and came in the best shape ever in camp. They're well coached. Monty Williams is awesome. Continuous roster. Everyone's locked up. Well, they'll lock up Ayton and Bridges here soon. I don't see how they're not given a little more credit. They were the 2 seed. So, obviously huge bias. I love the Suns, always have. But then the other team too, that just never gets talked about anywhere is the Jazz. They were the 1 seed last year. And I don't know if it's small culture or a small market where they just, the big markets have the drama and the more celebrity type stuff.
Sure.
So, and the Jazz are good every year. So the law of averages kind of suggests that eventually they're going to punch through. They're consistent. They seem like they're pretty cohesive. So I think it'd be kind of silly I think it seems like they're going to punch through one of these years. So
are they? I feel like they're in the same boat as the Nuggets though. Either they're going to progress or they're going to regress. And what I've seen from Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, I don't know. I feel like it can go either way. And I think them having that 1 seed and how the playoffs played out, I'm just not a believer in them. And especially when they run into the Denver Nuggets. That's a great rivalry. I love when those teams play each other, but I feel like until they can beat the Nuggets, or not only that, be better than them definitively, I can't put them in that category. I just can't. But I see your point. They have great talent. I get what you're saying, Josh, but I just feel like them and Denver, they're kind of either they're going to make that step or those teams are going to get broken up. It's a lot on the line. There's a lot of desperation. How about you, Matt? What are you seeing in terms of that question?
Yeah, and real quick on the Jazz. I think structurally it's a question of, can Donovan Mitchell elevate his game enough to make it okay to have Rudy Gobert out there for the minutes that he's playing in the modern NBA. Nothing against Rudy. It's just the league has evolved maybe past the point where he can be in there late in the 4th quarter. I don't know. We just haven't seen it yet in the playoffs. So I'm skeptical. I think my surprise goes in line with what Josh was saying, and I think the Lakers at least have been billed by the media as the heavy favorites in the West. I don't buy that. I don't think the Lakers are getting to the finals this year. That's my prediction right now. We haven't seen, other than, I guess you can say, what was it? 2012 Thunder. We haven't seen a really great Russell Westbrook playoff series. And then even that run was paired with Kevin Durant, of course, and James Harden as the sixth man on that team. So I'm not really sold on the Lakers. I think they are the NBA version this year of the movie Wild Hogs. That is going to be something that I refer back to this season. So we got all the friends together. Yeah, it's going to feel good. There's going to be a lot of feel good moments, but I think, I could see the Nuggets, if Jamal Murray comes back strong, they're a threat. The Suns, certainly, yes, I'll give credit there, because I said some things that I regretted last year, Josh, about your Suns. So yes, they are definitely a threat to make it.
I didn't let you forget
it. Yeah, fair. So yeah, I guess my surprise would be the Lakers not making the finals. And if I had to pick, I would lean Suns getting back. But I think the skepticism with that is a lot to do with, can Chris Paul make it for another postseason run? I think that's where a lot of the skepticism lies with the Suns. But obviously, I hope he can.
I'm leaning towards Golden State. I think it's a big if with James Wiseman. I don't know. But if things happen to work out, Klay Thompson's healthy. I mean, granted, Draymond, I think he's older. I think he's, there's only so much time he's got in the tank. But he just can't count out the greatest shooting backcourt in the history. So I think they could be a shock if there's injuries and things fall the right way. Don't count out the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think about the Nuggets? They just locked up Porter and Gordon, obviously Jokic. Murray's hurt he might not get back till March, April, but they're going all in on this core. I'm curious what you guys think who don't follow them as much.
Let's go with Alan.
I was really surprised that they locked up Michael Porter Jr. for that amount of money. It seems like a pretty gross overpay. I get why maybe they did it, but I think a lot of it depends on how Jamal Murray comes back, but he's coming back from a serious knee injury. I don't think he's going to be himself this year. And if he tries to rush back, he risks hurting something else. So I think they'll be a mid-tier playoff team. But I think they've taken away their financial flexibility for the foreseeable future, which isn't a good thing.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength with Alan. I feel like the contract that they gave to Porter a little bit too much. That's probably an understatement. And I think really with that core, I like the Joker a lot, but I think I'm with agreement with Alan. I think a mid-tier within the West, and if they don't move up, I think there's going to be some serious questions as to what do you do with that roster. But like you said, Alan, I think Porter signed a huge contract. They kind of limited, themselves in terms of what they do in the future.
Yeah, I'll go the other way. I'm a little higher on the Nuggets just because I love Jokic. I think he can elevate players on his roster to, higher heights than other players, being like a point center, basically. I would agree that I'm not in love with the Michael Porter Jr. contract, but I understand it. I mean, you're the Denver Nuggets. If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I probably don't make that signing, but it's an asset that's locked up. If he gets on fire, like we alluded to earlier, maybe they can make some sort of deal for Bradley Beal with it. There's a lot you can do with that contract as long as he isn't, plagued with injuries. And of course, that's always a gamble that you take in these contracts on players that have had past injuries. But I'm a little higher on the Nuggets, but I would say I don't see them getting past the 4 seed this year. So I would agree with probably like mid-tier in the West. But I mean, that gives them a puncher's chance if Jamal Murray comes back strong, which they need that anyway if they're going to contend. So I definitely think there's still players in the West. I wouldn't pick them to make the finals like over, say, the Suns, but I think there's some potential there.
Yeah, they feel like they have a window here. And I think
they're
small
young.
markets struggle with they had to overpay, I think, on Porter. I thought he was trade bait. I thought he was going to be gone because I followed them pretty regularly. But I think they figure, hey, we got a core and let's ride this with Jokic, who's incredible. So, and it'll be interesting to watch.
And if this, go ahead, Alan.
I was saying he could be gone. He could be part of a Ben Simmons trade package come December.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's potential for that for sure. But I think, even if this year is a wash for the Nuggets, the very next year they could be right there in contention if those players continue their development together as a core. So maybe this year they're waiting out for the Lakers or Warriors or whoever, Suns, to get out of the way, and then they strike hot next year. They come ready and fully loaded.